Right, welcome back everyone. Oh, sorry, that was a little bit louder than I expected. Wake everyone up after lunch. So I'm delighted to welcome, we've sort of added this one into the programme, and we're absolutely delighted that Sammia from the Scottish Event Campus has been able to fly in to join us today. So Simon from HP Aruba and Sammia Shakoor, Head of Projects at the Scottish Event Campus, are going to talk us through transforming venue operations and the fan experience through the help of technology. Take it away.
Thank you. Hey everybody, good lunch. Those Rosties were interesting, weren't they? I think I've had one quite like that before. Sort of a mixture of a potato and cheese on toast in a single thing. Great food. So I spoke to you yesterday, Simon Wilson from the HP Aruba networking team, and one of the things that they make sure that I do is to get our customers to understand our strategy and our vision, i.e. what is it that we can bring, what are the outcomes that we can drive in their particular venue. Now, I spent my entire career in technology, but I'm increasingly finding myself less interested in how the technology works and more what you can do with it. And over recent years, I've been lucky enough to be involved in a number of sporting venue projects, Commonwealth Games, Ryder Cups, big stadiums like Tottenham, and it's when you see the outcomes, when you see what it really means to the fans moving through the venue, it means to the teams that are putting on the event. So I was really interested to be in the Tottenham Stadium not so long ago when they were gearing up for a Red Hot Chili Peppers concert, because you can appreciate that most venues these days have to be a multi-purpose venue because you need to get people in more and more to justify the cost. Consequently, that means reconfiguring the venue each time for a new function. And it was only when I was literally sitting in the stands watching them build the arena up, building a big stage for the Red Hot Chili Peppers, which must have been reinforced given the size of the speakers that were there. You know, understanding how they had to deal with the audio challenges of putting, really decent quality audio in a football stadium that perhaps that wasn't, a prime consideration when it was built. So all these things that happen and the teams that start to build it. And one of the things I spoke to you about last year, about 12 months ago actually, we were in Manchester, was a project that I was just becoming involved with, which was the Scottish Events Campus. And what really interested me about that particular project was how it was combining a number of different venues on a single site. The kind of outcomes that we could deliver through technology, the kind of experiences that we could deliver, and the way, and I was thinking about it very much in the first couple of meetings with Stuart, is how could we give that team some new things to sell, new ways to get customers to come back to that particular venue and give better experiences. So I'm delighted that Sammy's been able to join me today. So thank you very much for flying in, Sammy. I really appreciate you coming to talk to everybody about this particular project. But before we do that, how about we just show you a little bit about what the SEC is. So if you could play the video for me, please. Thank you. What a fantastic venue. You know, that's given me one of my favourite things to say to people, which is the Squinty Bridge. I love the Squinty Bridge just outside there. It's
There's
fabulous.
many more sayings.
Good stuff. So again, thank you, Sammia, for joining us today. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and a bit about the SEC?
Well, thank you for having me. So my name's Sammia. I am the head of projects at the SEC. My team cover a wide range of projects from technology to construction and infrastructure, because why not? They all go together, don't they? The SEC is host to a multi-venue campus. We deliver multi-sector events, as you've seen there, in conferences, exhibitions, live entertainment, but we also host a number of sporting events as well. In 2014, we were the proud host of the Commonwealth Games. We've had the European Gymnastics, the Davis Cup, the boxing, and most recently we had the WWE. The main purpose of why SEC exists in Glasgow is to bring economic benefit to the city, and we're really proud of what we're able to achieve with that. I mean, I think we're averaging roughly about £500 million impact to the city and the local community, and that is what really drives us to do what we do.
That's incredible. All these different types of sporting events and other events that you have on the single campus. I mean, that must be really gratifying when you see that, the fans come through the gates and the happy faces and indeed the feedback to the city. And actually on the Commonwealth Games, so Commonwealth Games has just been announced, hasn't it? Is it officially announced now?
Officially announced.
Officially announced is going to be in Glasgow in 2027, I think.
2026.
Is it 2026?
Yeah.
Will the SEC be a part of that?
A huge part of it. When it came in 2014, SEC was an incredible host to the city. It left behind a wealth of legacy for the city, and we're looking forward to that coming back again and revive the energy that it left behind.
Excellent. So more sport coming to the SEC, which is fantastic. I mean, the SEC overall as a campus is not new. I mean, it's got various different ages. I think the Hydro is the newest.
The Hydro is the newest. That was launched back in 2013, so it celebrated its 10th birthday last year. We have the SEC Armadillo, which is 25 years old, and then we have our SEC Centre buildings, which are nearing 40 years old. So quite a diverse range of aged buildings that we have on our campus.
Yeah, so when the project comes in, I imagine, depending on where it's being hosted, will govern how difficult it's going to be to deliver that because of the existing infrastructure that you've got to deal with.
Absolutely. I mean, you've seen from the video there, we do have a wide diversity of events that we host. We've got, dinners, gala dinners in our halls, gala dinners in the Hydro, which is a purpose-built live entertainment venue as well. And each venue does bring with itself challenges, but it doesn't matter if your venue's a year old or 40 years old. I'm sure most venues experience the same.
Now the reason we got together in the first place was something called Project Connect,
Yes.
which is, you better explain it to me.
Okay, essentially, Project Connect is the name of our project, which is the upgrade of the LAN and Wi-Fi throughout our campus. Now, saying LAN and Wi-Fi upgrade as a project doesn't really bring much enjoyment or to anybody or any smiles.
It does to me.
It does to yourself. So our very clever marketing team had given it a brand, and we've called it Connect. And it's very true, because essentially what we are as a business and what we do is all about connecting people, whether it's connecting delegates to each other or whether it's connecting the fans to their artist on stage.
Yeah, and I'd say one of the first visits was to come and see Hosier.
Yes.
Good Irish boy. And my God, that boy can sing. He really can sing. And the audio in the place was absolutely phenomenal. And I think that kind of really crystallised for me one of the major, drivers for us, which is, I'll be honest, we get involved in a lot of projects where people talk about transformation. We're going to transform everything. And I kind of hate that word, because it's a bucket that so many different things can be thrown into. And what you often find is that transformations end up being what's called a refresh, which essentially is you're doing exactly the same things in the same way, but with newer equipment that's maybe a bit faster than the old equipment, but it's doing it in exactly the same way, which means that you're offering the same services and it's the same effort on the team. And certainly one of the things that attracted me to the project was that they really wanted to transform, not just update the technology, but you wanted to offer new services, you wanted to make it easy for the IT team to deliver, new capabilities, and also easier when the acts come to town. And something I've been acutely aware is that when a big act comes to town, they bring everything with them. And how does what they're bringing with them play nice with the existing infrastructure that's there to support the fan experience? Because the acts that come to town don't bring with them everything to deliver the fan experience. They bring everything with them to deliver their performance. So it's how the two integrate together, which I think is really, really interesting. So I mean, what have you learned along the way? I mean, what's come out of this project?
So we're partway through the project. We're almost about 90% complete, and we're hoping to launch kind of early November. Most upgrades across venues happen fairly quickly and can be achieved in about 3 months. Ours has taken 4 times longer, as you know. Since we started, we have also delivered 260 events, which covered over 500 open days and 100 build days. So you can imagine the challenge that we're facing while delivering events as well as upgrading.
Yeah, I think one of the things I said to you and Gail when we first met was, you're trying to do open heart surgery whilst you're running a marathon. You know, yes. There's not even time to stop and grab a drink, because if you do that, it's a down day, and your sales team really hate down days, don't they?
They don't exist.
They don't exist.
They don't exist.
They exist.
So some of the things that we have learned throughout this is, anybody embarking on a project like this, the first thing I would suggest is that you buy yourself a dark room and a soundproof room as well. That's exceptionally important. But there are some real critical factors to the success of delivering such a project. Now, some of these are going to seem exceptionally basic, but they are so important and so critical. And that is about number one is about having a dedicated team that are not included in your BAU, and also having a watertight but yet agile program that allows you to carry on with events, but also deliver your program at the same time. And one other key area for us was ensuring that we had buy-in from the grassroots levels. Now you can imagine, we've been in business now for 40 years. We have a really well-oiled machine in terms of event build-up and getting an event ready. So along came this project last year. You can imagine our technical manager's delight when we're saying to them, no, I'm sorry, you can't access your halls. You know, we have tendency for that area. You know, it did disrupt working for a lot of different teams. So the buy-in from those teams is exceptionally important, and also that must be really echoed by your senior management team as well, ensuring everybody is on the same page. One of the other things that we did was, much to Simon and other partners' delight, we actually took our time, and the method of research that we used really paid off dividends for us. We went to our third parties and the third party providers, and asked them to share with us what is the art of the possible. And instead of us giving them a brief, they brought to us by looking at our campus, looking at our business, and what is possibly achieved. I think that's one of the greatest lessons that we've actually learned, and one that we'll take forward into the next upgrade in 8 years' time.
Yeah, that's right. I think one of the things, certainly talking to the sales teams, not like in the down days, well, how can we eliminate some of those down days? In other words, how can we take what we learned and a couple of projects recently for me, one was Ryder and the Commonwealth, was the limited time we had to do the build out and the automation that you put in place to do the build out. So in other words, if we can do this for an event that's only going to last 4 days, imagine what we could do if we were focusing our efforts on figuring out how to shrink down the build time for a venue that's building something new every week at least, maybe twice a week. And with the number of venues you've got, you could have, half a dozen different events going on simultaneously. How do you do that and not crush the IT team in the process? Because they're having to make all of these things work. And we know that the public they can be quite vocal when the Wi-Fi is not good, right? Especially
in Scotland. They're not shy. We're not shy in coming forward. For us, our main objective was to implement a network that was very easy to manage. As Simon said, our teams spend a considerable amount of time in building up for those events, but instead they should be focusing their efforts on working with our event organizer and how we can actually bring their event to life and how we can support them instead of pulling through the cables at such a speed that they do. And so it's very important that they were able to easily manage the network, because while like most venues who are fortunate enough to be able to put in a network and forget about it, unfortunately we can't. our requirements, our organisers' requirements change on a daily basis. So we needed something that was exceptionally easy to manage, but also scalable. So we could be running an event as a comedy show with 3,000 people, right up to a high-profile event like COP26. And recently we mentioned WWE. That was a televised event that, for any geeks in the house, they used up 34 terabytes of data over 3 days. So it was a considerable amount. So we need to make sure that our network is scalable. However, that's all yesterday. And that's what I'm talking to Simon about recently as well. But what's tomorrow going to bring? So the solution that we've worked on with Aruba and with our third-party provider is a scalable solution that ensures that we do no longer require a third-party overlay when we are hosting events like COP26, and we have Interpol coming that we're currently getting set up for as well.
Interpol, so it's going to be a fairly secure environment, I would think.
It has to be. So not only has our network to be scalable, but it must be secure as well.
Well, thank you for that. I mean, so having been through the process of figuring out what you want to achieve and selecting your vendors and then starting the rollout, I mean, you know, what you've learnt along the way, has that changed your views on what's possible?
No, actually, because interestingly, like I shared with you, we did take our time and we did the research, and it did pay off for us because everything that we were sold at the pre-sale stage was all actually materialised, and it all came true, which is not often said. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you for saying that, because I'll be honest with you, sometimes projects, you come across things that are unforeseen. Like, you know, on the plan, it's guaranteed that there is a 6-inch duct pipe between these two points. And then you go find it and you realise that the drawing was wrong, and the drawing's been wrong in a drawer for 20 years, and suddenly there is no duct that you can use, and you have to figure out, in other words, everything takes a little bit longer and is a little more complicated to do than originally planned, yet you still have to solve the issue. So, and that kind of takes air out of the, it takes oxygen out of the project a little bit, which means that you don't get to the point you want to at the right time, and then of course some of the, the add-on, the beneficial things that you wanted to do kind of fall by the wayside. But I think one of the things we're very gratified for is that we've kept everybody's kept their kind of foot firmly on the gas of, this is what was promised, this is what we're going to deliver, and this is where we need to be. So it's been a great project to be involved with. And I'll be honest with you, I'm always a little bit thinking about what's next. I just want to get it done so I can think about the new things, because I've already got ideas, having been involved in the build out and sitting watching the choreography of the trucks when they were doing the teardown from Hosier, watching all that coming in place. It just sparks things in my brain about what we can use, how we can use technology, how we can use new technologies like AI. By the way, I hate the term AI because there's too much that isn't A and isn't I. But the point is, if we can use automation and artificial intelligence to help, with the choreography of things like that, to shave a bit of time off the bumpy and a bit of time off the build out, to make the experience even 5% better than it would be, and it's not going to cost us anything to do, I think that's a fantastic thing to think about. So I'm looking forward to the conversations where we think about what comes next after that.
Absolutely. I mean, we're building what is essentially the foundation right now, so the future is exceptionally bright. With the network that we have so far, what the teams are really excited about is, yes, every network does have its limitations, but this has actually gone beyond what we expected, and we're really looking forward to what the future is with it. What it's also enabled us to do is now kind of focus on putting together an IT delivery strategy that allows us to, for example, sell, security as a service to high-profile events like COP and Interpol, etc. as well. So, yeah, the future is exceptionally bright.
Well, thank you very much for that, and thank you for sharing your insights about what's going on at the SEC today. Katie, do you have any time for a couple of questions? Okay, we can take a question or two if somebody's got something they wanted to ask.
Everyone's gone shy.
No, that's a great response. Thank you.
You know what it is? It's that post-lunch thing, isn't it? Where I was, it's all sitting heavy. And
It's got nothing to do with all the Guinness that was consumed last night.
There had to be one.
Can I ask if you have to do the project over again in terms of the kind of the transforming the network? What would you do differently?
One of the things I spoke about was the resource element. And, you know, like I said earlier, it sounds very basic, but it is critical. When you are working in a live environment, having the engineers work in both areas is exceptionally difficult, and it's quite challenging for them as well. While we work with the partners and we produce high-level and low-level designs, as Simon said earlier on, not everything goes as planned. So your resource must have the capacity to be able to adapt to the plans and keep going. So resource for me was essential, and also the buy-in at grassroots were two critical elements.
I think yesterday in our morning slot I talked about partnership and the partnering between partners. I think one of the things that the SEC did really, really well was at the outset of the project they got us all up for a kick-off, didn't we? We spent some time in a meeting room, we spent some time socially afterwards, so that, you know, the relationships start to build. So when there is a problem with, I don't know, a turnstile or a this or a that, then you know who you're talking to because you've got the face in your head. It's not somebody from another company. And that avoids so much of what can happen in these situations, which is the finger pointing. It's not us. It works over there, so if it doesn't work here, it must be something. No, it doesn't matter whose fault it is. There's absolutely a no-blame culture. And if you're going to get to that, then that partnering between the partners is absolutely critical. And I think that was a really cool thing that you did. So maybe not something we do differently, but something I think you do even more next time, right? And maybe on a more ongoing basis, because it's so beneficial. It's so beneficial. Okay, is any, I think, quick, small? No?
No.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Simon. Thank you, Sammia. Thank you again for flying in, especially for us as well. So let's show a round of applause, everyone.